another Friday night. We're heading to round number 6, Oran Park Raceway, the historic track from Sydney and New South Wales, a very historic track in the history of Australian motorsport, guys. It's going to be very interesting. We've got 57 laps. It is a very short track to get around, 150-kilometre sprint race. Of course, the broadcast starts at 9:40 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. That is our qualifying session after pre-qualifying, so you'll see the qualifying. 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time is when the main race will get underway, and this is going to be another one of those single shootout qualifying for this round. So the single shootout qualifying basically means that after the pre-qualifying, everyone outside the top 10 will get a chance to set a lap. They've got 20 minutes to go and set a lap by themselves. They'll only see themselves on track. And in the last 10 to 20 minutes, we will have the top 10 will then go out one at a time. But it doesn't mean they're in a top 10 shootout. That's not what it is. They are just get to have their own broadcast lap. They will know the times of where everyone else is and what they have to beat. But as we saw last time we did this, you can end up all the way down the back of the field if you don't put that one run in. Dan, take us through Oran Park and where they can come unstuck.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, it's going to be a really good race. It's very short technical circuit. We're estimating lap times of around 1:07 for the quick guys out there. Throw into the fact that it's only 2.6 kilometres in length. Really going to be tough for everyone out there to get a lap in and find the space that they need to do so. The biggest areas that we're expecting to see a big lot of, at least the big incident on lap 1 is going to be down into turn 2. It's a very quick run down there for all the guys coming through. Got that little bit of a kink through 1, not really much of a corner, but it's a very narrow entry before you head off under the bridge. Then as you crest back up over the top, that is always tricky to try and get the power down and keep the back end of the car underneath you. So it's very technical the way you've got to get the car to work. You need to use the curves because you've got to try and maximise the track runoff length as much as you can, but you also need to get the grip. And we're going to be in for a really interesting event. The other interesting fact, though, no repeat winners in the times we've been there. Season 1, Ethan Grigalt took it out. Ian Ford took the win in Season 2. Cooper Webster got a win in Season 3. And then we had Jared Filsell for Season 6 and Andrew Gilliam in Season 8. So it's a bit of an open door. Everyone's got a really good chance to possibly put their name up on the winners' podium.
And Nori, I'm sure you had a great time this week. You're going to take us for a lap around Oran Park, of course, all thanks to Pure Driving School, that lap that you put together for us this week. Who has left their garage unlocked, basically? Where did you end up? Whose car did you steal? And how did you go?
Yeah, it seems nobody learned anything from Barber, and obviously I'm just allowed to steal any car now. I got myself in a Mustang this week, so it's a much better car, and I felt much better in this driver's seat. It was one of the Simrigs DPR machines, and they're actually pretty quick this week, so they're going to be quite good to see out on circuit. Hopefully I didn't ruin the car for them, but here's the lap.
G'day everyone and welcome to Nori's navigation for AOSC's round here at Oran Park. The guys at Simrigs DPR have luckily left the keys in the car, so I'm going to take it for a quick spin of the famous historic Oran Park in Sydney's southwest. Climbing out of the final corner there, it's a long run down to turn 1. So you're pulling all the gears here past pit straight. You've got to watch out for this left-hand kink though, because it's very fast. You don't want to lock that front left, and then you really got to watch it coming down into turn 2 as it really tightens up. So you've got to try and maximize drive exit on that curb and pick up a few gears. Down a couple of gears now, and turn it in for the right-hander at turn 3. Slam your foot down on the throttle and pick up a couple of gears before on the brakes again and down a gear again. Into the tight right-hander, it is 5. And then we start to crest the bridge here. It's a famous figure 8 track, which is fantastic for that over-under. As we come through the dogleg, that is 7 and 8. Feed it a couple of gears and then back again, as you use a bit of curb on the left and then a bit of curb on the right. Set yourself up for 10 and 11 and then flow the car through into the brakes for the final corner. As you start to put the throttle on, you want to use all the exit out to the fence there, and that is a lap of Oran Park. Such a historic circuit. I better return this Simrigs car.
Well, Norrie, you did look a lot more comfortable in the Mustang this week. I must admit, you looked like you got it down pat, and the time wasn't too bad. What did you do? A 107 round there.
Yeah, it was a 107.2, so a bit off pace, but definitely much more comfortable in the Commodore.
Oh, mate, that's top 10, Norrie. That's why we've got you on the team. We know you can drive around this place. You know it like the back of your hand. You're right there. Turn 2 is going to be very tricky. The dive down into there, it's sort of like a double apex, really, isn't it? So anything could happen coming into that one. What is going to be the pit strategy, though, Norrie, and tyres? Are they going to be a big factor in this one?
Yeah, absolutely. The tyres, you have to take some tyres, and you get the free kick with the fuel anyway, so I don't see why you wouldn't. Pit strategy for me is really crucial to be following that lead car, not being too close under the rear wing, because the pit entry is so tight. There's literally no room between leaving the race circuit and being in pit lane. So you got to watch the front of the car ahead. Make sure you're not right up their klaxon, because you will get their bumper, and that'll be an incident if you're not careful. So look out for that one.
And Dan, are we putting money on a safety car this week? How much are we betting?
Oh, look, I think it's a pretty safe bet that we will see the safety car come out. At least the advantage for this one, if there is a big one down into 2, there's plenty of runoff road for the guys to get their way through. So I don't think it'll be quite as bad, but yeah, absolutely look to see one there. If it doesn't happen in that spot, we're going to pick it up as the guys crest the bridge for the first time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, guys. And like we say, we're putting money on a safety car. Plenty of tight corners to get around. Let's hope Tom Freer makes it through lap number 1. That's all we need him to do. Just lap number 1, Tom. We hope you can make it through and get back up in that top 5 in the championship. Anything else to say, guys? What have we got to look forward to?
James Scott will win.
I think we look out for the big one. Other than that, it's going to be a great race.
And will Corey Shepard come second and get another bridesmaid dress?
Yes.
Yes.
And Andrew Dyson will be third.
No, him and Briggsy have to swap, don't they?
Briggsy has to get Briggsy will be third. Sorry.
Yeah, they've got to swap the DPR boys. But, mate, they're on a charge, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 2 DPR cars on the podium.
That car's hooked up.
It's hooked up, and maybe they'll sub you in, mate. Maybe they can sub you in, Norrie.
They're not that desperate.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us again here on the pre-race show.
Well, it's Friday night. We've had a week off, but we are back here for AOSC 10, and it's race 181. And we're back at the beautiful, historic Oran Park that is now a lot of housing estate. Joining me tonight will be Matthew Norris. It's just us two tonight. Daniel Lead having a bit of a night off. We've given him the night off. We've allowed him. He's sent in his permission slip, and so he won't be joining us tonight. And a big shout out to Nick Hausler, who's obviously sitting in the background and making sure this all comes live and free to you on our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, AOSC Space TV, and get to YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and like that channel, because we're bringing you what is round number 6 here tonight. It is season 10. We're well and truly past the 1/3 mark. Pretty much. We're about a third of the season so far, and it has been James Scott dominating. Let's see if it can be someone else up the top of the tables at the moment. Big shout, of course, to all of our sponsors. We couldn't do it without them. Of course, simrigs.com, Sydney Computers, 6th Gear Imagery, Race Circuit Art Australia, AJ Insurance Services, and we do have a new sponsor on board. We do have a bit of a change here when it comes to our media and our photography. Bauer Media and Sideways Photography will now be joining us as part of the AOSC Season 10 to take over. Big shout out to Tom Freer and for what he has done for us previously there with all the photography and things like that. But yeah, we are moving on to a new photography, and that's going to be great to have those guys from Bowler Media, Sideways Photography on board as we get a bit of an off there, and that's Bailey Frid, who I have seen in practice come off a little bit earlier, but a chance that they can reset at the moment during this qualifying session. Just remembering that we will go into qualifying right now, but remembering that we are going to have the single qualifying lap, the lone qualifier as it's set in iRacing. So every driver will get a single lap time, and our top 10 will then come out one by one. It doesn't mean it is a top 10 shootout. It is definitely not that. It just means that those 10 will get televised here on our broadcast. We'll see them go round. We'll find out exactly where they are going to end up. They could end up all the way back down into the field, but the advantage to them is that they know what time they have to beat to stay in that top 10. Whether they're comfortable with that time or not, we'll find out. But Oran Park can be rather tricky. We come over a few undulating surfaces, bit of ripple strip action, and of course, not hard to drop a wheel off onto the dirt there. And once you drop a wheel off onto the dirt, the car can get extremely loose here at Oran Park. So we've got ourselves a number of corners to get around. When we do come to the restarts, if we do have a safety car tonight, we can get started really down the back straight after the, right after the O'Brien dogleg there, the aluminium dogleg. Somewhere between there, Recaro corner and the main straight is where they can restart the race. But tonight, of course, it is me, Matty Kavanagh, joined by Matty Norris. So the two Matts are here tonight to give you all the commentary coming from Oran Park. We know Norrie, he loves this track. He's got plenty of history. He likes to go for a drive there every now and then and do a couple. He did a 107 in our pre-race show. That's as fast as he got. Up now, though, it's Kyle Stokes and the Synergy Sim Racing Commodore. Time to see what he can do around this track. And we're going to start looking at the sector times here in the 888 car. The 888 is back this weekend as well, and at the Bathurst, I do believe. So it's good to see as we go on board now and we go through turn number 1 here, the Coca-Cola corner. Well, it's actually turn number 2 there as they come down. They're going to try and get into 4th gear, hard on the brakes back into 2nd. You can see him turn right into this one as we go around Shell Corner, up over the Champion curve here as they come around, and we head towards that crossover bridge like the figure 8 style. Now we Luke Rosella now, another Synergy Sim racer coming around and getting some times there. Look at up here, we got some great sector times from Luke Page. He seems to be the sector 1 so far, fastest there. Borgie's got a couple of quick sectors here too, sector 2 and 3. He has been the fastest so far. And the sector, well, we're moving around now. Now we're starting to see some times go. They're starting to come up. There we go. Brian Borg, he's not come from the hospital bed this week. This week, I think he is refreshed and ready to go. Not happy with last week where he didn't really finish where he should have there in that one. And he will be expecting to do a little bit better this one. Of course, last week he ended all the way back in 16th, which was a bit of a battle for him to get back into the pack. But he's maintained that number 4 in the championship at the moment. Well, you see some purple sector times there for Stephen Varga too. He's quick so far as well. Brian Borg does another sector 2 time that is quite impressive. We're already down to a 105.21 for Kyle Stokes. So the top 10 guys from our pre-qualifying will be sitting in pit lane. They will get themselves their own lone qualifier a bit late. Everyone's on a lone qualifier, so that's why you can only see one car on track at a time. They've got about 10 minutes to go out there and put their lap down. And they'll be pretty much got time to themselves. They're not going to be able to draft anyone. They're not going to be able to see what everyone else is doing. They just need to get out there and get a time set. And we're going through them one by one as Damien Johnson from Synergy Sim Racing up on. And I think we got it wrong in the pre-show. It was him doing the burnouts in the background. Another man, Rob Harris, he sticks with the lucky number 13, but he has not stuck with the livery. He's changed teams and gone to the Mac 1 team. He's been stolen. He's taken the number 13 over there. Will the new colours bring him some luck this week? We'll find out from Rob Harris. If he finishes the race on all 4 wheels and somewhere in the top 10, I reckon he's going to be a pretty happy man. And it's nice livery too to come out on the Commodores there as he gets around to complete his lap. I'm just having a look here. Rob Harris there at 106.04 puts him in 23rd at the moment. So leading us so far, remembering that our top 10 from pre-qualifying have not done a lap yet. We will bring them out one by one. We will follow them the entire way. We're going to follow them for each sector. We're going to find exactly where we're going to end up. And no surprise, who do we not see in here? We don't see James Scott in this round so far. We don't see Corey Shepherd. We don't see Borgie. We don't see, I'm just trying to Jordan Ross is not in there, so he's made the top 10. Briggsy, that's who I was looking for. Briggs has made it in there. Aaron Dodd's up there in the top 10. So Dylan Rudd as well is another one who's made it. Fritter's made it. Tom Freer, has made it up there after last week. He had a shocker a couple of weeks ago. For Tom Freer. So Kenneth Latter is another good name, and he had a good finish as well last week. So Kenneth Latter, good to see him doing some impressive things. Because last week he got 7th a couple of weeks ago. So very interesting. Taliangic has missed out though, which is unfortunate. We see him up on screen at the moment. He comes around a 105.061, and that'll put him up in second fastest so far. So I'm just checking who the last person in our top 10 that's going to come out on their Lone Ranger run. Their lone qualifier, and that's Thomas Hinds. And Norrie, looks like you're joining us there, mate. Are you in the pits this week? We know you were just got out of the DPR pits from a bit earlier.
Yeah, I returned the DPR Simrigs car. I think I'll let the professionals take on the driving, and I'll sit back here in the commentary booth and do some talky yelling at a screen while Dan's off having the pedicure.
Well, mate, a 107 wasn't that bad getting around here. 106 so far from David Kimmond is down in 27 with 10 guys to get out on track still to go. As yes, well, 107, yeah, you're only just missing out, mate. Look, I'll give it to you, Norrie. I did half an hour at this track this week, a full half an hour though, like solid, committed half an hour at lunchtime, and I only got a 110.
Well, that's all right. I mean, I've got plenty of years of experience with this circuit, and it's a shame we've lost it to history because it is a fantastic precinct in southwestern Sydney. It's a shame it's now people's living rooms and driveways, but I'm sure if you found yourself a supercar, you could rip raw through those suburbs real fast.
Well, quickly, while we've got a couple of minutes while they're getting fueled up and they're getting ready for these top 10 guys to go out and set a lone qualifier, let's go through this. 57 laps tonight. It's 150 kilometres. What is the fuel stop strategy for you? Like, where is the minimum?
Well, they're going to want to be starting probably... So you can probably get about 39 laps to a tank. And earliest pits, let's call it lap 18, 19, we're going to see them starting to pit from. And then depending on safety cars and all that sort of thing, depending on how we get that goes, it might some people might play the risk, gamble it and run long. Some might run short and try and short fuel and beat everyone on track.
And tyres, do you think they'll take tyres on this one?
Definitely.
All right, and the other thing we have to go through, we spoke about in the pre-show was, me and Dan, money. We put money on a safety car. What are you thinking?
Yes.
Well, there's quite a few areas where you can run off. There is a lot of runoff in this track, but it's loose, isn't it? Like it's very easy with the curbs here to drop a wheel on that dirt.
Yeah. As you saw in the pre-show, it was bumpy around, 4 or 5 heading up onto the bridge. It's got a lot of undulation through the dog leg and all that sort of thing. And so it's a tricky circuit to get right. Turn 1 is quite a doozy, and lap 1 will be quite the action-packed thriller into turn 1. I hope everyone's bought their tickets to turn 2 because I'll need them. But yeah, it should be good to see.
And we're really going to have to watch going through that, going to the pit as well, because if you're under the back wing of someone, you come out wide, don't you, coming out of that final Recaro corner, going onto the main straight, you stay as close to the wall as possible, and anyone can duck in at any stage. That is going to be something they're going to have to watch out for if they're not expecting the car in front to pull in, because they're going to have to get in the brakes. It's a tight entry.
Yeah, most modern cars come with blind spot monitoring, but these cars don't, so you're going to need to keep your eyes open, because it is a very tight pit entry off the main circuit. Like you say, that you stick hard right onto that wall as you exit the final corner, but it doesn't help.
Yes, and the other one is when you come out of pit exit, really, you're going to come out onto turn 2. I know turn 1, they're going to be tight over the ribble strip, but they're going to be hard on brakes. And if they're at full flight, 6th gear, 5th gear, 4th gear, 3rd gear, trying to pull that up into 2nd, and you're trying to merge into that, going to be very interesting. You're really going to have your relative on and know exactly who is around you. Hopefully some of the guys might have a spotter. Don't forget, if you are watching us, whether it be on Facebook or YouTube, if you haven't joined YouTube, make sure you go to AOSC TV and get that done. Big shout out to our sponsors, simrigs.com, Sydney Computers, 6th Gear Imagery, Race Circuit Art Australia, AJ Insurance Services, and our 6th Gear Imagery are actually leaving us, and new sponsors on board for the remainder of the 2021, or the season 10, I should say, and that is going to be Bowler Media Sideways Photography, who are going to be taking over. Another shout out we probably need to do is, of course, Jinx Shifters. How did I not mention Jinx Shifters, who are our naming right sponsor? Some great stuff. I've seen they've been putting some photos out recently. SVG's got some more stuff. Who else? I've seen someone else too that they've made some very custom shifters for the colours, whatever you need. Also, shout out to Track Cams for Gourmets, who have given us some great camera angles for us to work with Nick Hausler in the background. And we do need to mention Pure Driving School, who, if you're part of the AOSC in Season 10, if you're on our Discord channel, don't forget you can get in touch with them. And they are doing some driving school tips. You can, whether it be set up on your car, whether it be getting around the track, going over what you need to do to just maybe improve some of those times. And we have noticed a few of the teams and a few of the drivers taking that up. One of the guys that does do the driver training is James Scott, who is 5 races out of 6. He's had the win. He's been on the number 1 on the podium 5 out of 6. And it was only that one race with that unfortunate running a little bit wide there going into the last corner where Gilliam got right under him. And unfortunately, they came together and he ended up finishing 5th in that race. So it's been a big one for him. But James Scott dominating again in Season 10. Will he go back to back? All right, Damien Johnson is number 1 so far with 10 cars left to go in this lone qualifier. So with 10 cars left, Damien Johnson sits at number 1, 105.06. But what is exciting, Norrie, about this one is, and you'll notice the banner on his car, 50th race. It's his 50th race in the AOSC. So big shout out to Damien Johnson. We hope you're, who knows, mate, you could still be number 1 technically. If these guys don't put a time down better than 105.061, you could still be number 1. You're in with a chance of starting in the top 10. You can still start at number 1 as far as we're concerned. As Thomas Hinds now, who ended up 10th in the pre-qualifying, is going to come out on track and he is going to get underway with this solo lap of his. He has to beat a 105.061. Some of the times, Norrie, we've already seen, he gets a little bit loose. This is the outlap though, so it's time to warm the tyres up, get those brakes working, just get himself reset on the track. He's had a little bit of a break, a chance to go to the toilet, grab himself a drink, maybe a coffee, some sugar, liven himself up as he comes around. He is not far away from completing his first lap. It is a short track here. It is only a couple of kilometres, 2.61 kilometres, the shortest track that we have been to so far in this series of 6 rounds in. And check out the camera work as he goes over. Great things from Track Cam for Gourmets. And here we go, the flying lap about to get underway from Thomas Hinds, the number 25. Let's see how he goes. Check the sector times out. We're going to be watching him here from the commentary box. We need to know everything that's going on. It's a 105.061 that he needs to beat. And here we go. It's going to be a little bit sketchy here as he comes in turn number 2. Goes wide, does not pull the car up from that big straight, but you can recover a little bit from here, remembering that he, you know, you can lose a couple of tenths of a second. He can still be in there, but he can also go the opposite way. He can end up way further down the field than where he thought he was going to be. So it puts a fair bit of pressure on the drivers here doing this lone qualifier shootout style, but sometimes it puts some drivers who don't normally see up in the top 10, it puts them in there, which is great to see in the series, and mixes it up a little bit as he's sideways coming out of there as well. Now he's that's as he comes over the bridge there. So sideways for him after the Yokohama Bridge. Now we see him start to come through the track here, head down to Momo Corner, up through the dog leg. This was, you got to hold on to it, click it into 4th gear and hard on the brakes again. You've got to get it turned into here, because if you go wide, there is nothing but a concrete wall to greet you on the other side. He goes all the way out. Let's see as he comes through. He's got some PB times here, but that's because he's only just come out. And the time comes up, and he goes to 13th with a 105.55. So Damien Johnson, happy 50th race for us in the AOSC, because you're in the top 10, buddy. You are definitely got a spot in the top 10 no matter what happens. Brent Loxton now, the Jinx Shifters Commodore, is out on his warm-up lap and gets down to the main straight or sideways there. He'll be looking for all the drive though if he needs to maximise what he can do on this lap, and it's still that 105.061 from Damien Johnson that he needs to beat. We've already seen Thomas Hinds go out, and unfortunately he dropped back to 13th position so far with his time. He overshot the first corner, but we don't see that from Brett Loxton. He pulls the car up nicely, the 209. The big Jinx Shifter, I'm sure he's going through the gears in that one as he goes down for this one, back to 2nd gear. Now it's a run up through the champion curve, and we start to make our way around. We'll look for that Yokohama Bridge, and we go over the road. Hold on to it around here, start to go up through the gears. Position yourself nicely here as you go over that little bit of a crest, down through the dog leg there as we come around. Sorry, that's not the dog level. We're going down the Momo corner. So we've still got a fair bit to go in this 2.61 kilometres. We come around. Great shots there coming off the curb there for Brett Loxton. He's come around the final corner. This is the only bit he has to do. Needs to not try and excite those tyres too much on this lap. Looks like they've warmed up now as he comes around. We got Greens up in the sector times. And let's have a look at where he ends up. P2 so far with a 105.06. So 105, he is 1,000th of a second behind Damian Johnson. What a way would it to be, Norrie, if Damian Johnson ends up in 11 with 10 guys left to go, and he ends up starting on the front row of the grid in his 50th race AOSC. How good would that be?
It'd be fantastic for Johnson to do that. Let's just hope the 50th banner he's got on his car isn't as unlucky as the one Tom Freer had last time out. But Kenneth Latta lining up, and he's going to be aiming to take the front row off Damian Johnson here.
Starts his flying lap. He ended up 8th fastest in the pre-qualifying. That's how he's got into this top 10 lone qualifier, so that we get his own lap televised out on our AOSC TV live and on Facebook, of course, if you just joined us. Big shout out to our sponsors, and he's in his new team colours as well, the Alco Holder DPR car. So he's joined the DPR guys, and they have been quite impressive too in it took them a couple of races to start to get their groove on, but whatever the setup they get in those cars, those guys are working really well as a team to be able to work, set the cars up, get the suspension right, and everything's going on. So Kenneth Latta had a good one too, came 7th in our last round as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes in this one, because starting to make some impressive times, and with DPR, I think he could definitely make that happen. Looks very conservative through here, just keeping the car nice and balanced. Just a little bit over the curb there, but he'll hold on to it. Doesn't shoot this one too wide. Comes around. Maximises all the bitumen there on the exit. Let's see how he goes. No purples in this one, but we'll see if he moves up. Kenneth Latta will go to P6. He goes a 105.34. So 105.34 for Latta, which means Johnston still holds on to that P1 at this stage, as here he is, the man. He's still got the 50th race on. I don't think he counts last week. He's... here we go. So Freer gets around. It was an unfortunate race for him last week. That's all it was, and it was he ended up with unfortunately our AJ Insurance has impacted the round, but I think he'll be back this one at Oran Park, a familiar track. These guys have done hundreds and hundreds of laps. He's got that fluorescent purple showing, so he can tell everyone exactly where he is this week. Maybe you reverse the colours around, so more purple, so everyone gets out of his way. As he comes around, not looking at any purple sector time so far at the moment as Freer gets around. So Kenneth Latta just went through and ended up in P6. Tom Freer now needs to see if he can improve on that one. He's pushing around, still no purple sector times coming up, and you probably expect to see a couple of those if they are going to go and beat Damian Johnson for that P1 at the moment. As Freer comes around the final turn, uses all that bitumen on the outside, he goes through. We're going to wait for the times to come up on our screen. Purple time in the last sector, and he goes P5 just in front of Brian Borg. So P5 in front of Brian Borg with a 105.23, and we did see lots of 104s in some of the practice sessions, didn't we, Norrie? So it's quite surprised we haven't seen so many as Dylan Rudd now comes out and about to start his flying lap.
It all comes down to that one crucial lap. These guys have got this one moment to take hold and get the lap done. Sometimes in qualifying, you've got a few laps to get it done, but in this particular format, you've only got one go at it, and some of these guys are choking under pressure.
There's a lot of hard braking to do throughout this track, I noticed too, and it's very easy to overshoot that corner. He uses all of the strip up there on the outer curb. Now it's down, you'll see him pop back into second gear there, tight right-hander now as they come around. That's the shell corner, head up to the champion curve, and then it's all the way onto the bridge here as we come up over the crest. A little bit bumpy through there too. It's really easy to excite the tyres, but you need to preempt that you've got to get that right-hand turn. As we see a purple sector time already for Rudd. Fastest sector 1 so far. So that's a good sign from him.
Dylan Rudd's always going to throw it at the wall. He's going to take every ounce of this NSR Mustang and throw it at Oran Park because he has to. It's a few nicer looking split times coming through on the timing board. Around the last corner. Uses all of the track up to the fence, but it's Tyler.
we go. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. Rudd, what does he end up with? P1, the NSR car. Sticks it on P1 for now, a 105.02. So there's only 400ths of a second in that one. So just under 400ths of a second. And we will see a Dylan Rudd P1. Getting around Aaron Dodd, his teammate, though. He's probably got something to say about this, the NSR Esports guys. 2 of them in the top 10 so far. That's good to see. And he gets underway with his flying laps. Let's see if he can hold on to this one and maintain the pressure there. High stakes at the moment on this lone qualifier, and it's great to see it sort of change up the dynamics when it comes to qualifying. Some of the names that we don't always see up the top of the grid, just outside of the top 10, and a few of them might end up there as well. Damien Johnson was very impressive, and he's still P2. He was P11 after pre-qualifying, so he is... that's exactly where he's going to make the top 10. P2 at the moment. We've only got a handful of cars. I'm just having a look there. We've got about 5 cars left to go in this lone qualifier. Your top 10 out there at the moment, and it is Aaron Dodd in the NSR Esports car as he comes around. You can see that using all the ribble strip. Now he has to get up. Heading up towards Momo corner now. Just went through the dogleg. Heads up to Recaro corner and comes around onto the main straight. Everyone using as much bitumen as possible out there, right up against that Armco. Purple last sector, there we go. Dodd goes to 2. So Dylan Rudd and Aaron Dodd, the NSR Esports teammates, are 1 and 2, and there is not much in that. 300ths of a second. He ends up with a 105.05. And then you go back to Damien Johnson with a 105.061, and 1,000ths behind him is Brett Loxton in the Jinx Shifters Commodore in P4 at the moment. So we're down to the last few cars. Briggsy is about to come out, Adam Briggs, and we know him and his teammate have been jostling between 3rd and 5th position. If they get a 3rd and a 5th tonight, it's going to be fantastic on social media this week. Well, there's going to be plenty going on. Norrie is the number 72 there, a little bit of a wiggle as he gets under brakes.
Well, his teammate is starting out at 11 at the moment. So Briggs has got the opportunity to step up and take 3rd this week. I think I predicted at the end of the pre-show that Dyson was going to get it, so I'll change my bet now to Briggs, and then we'll be right to go.
Well, Dyson did a 105, mate. You did a 107 in the same cars, so you know they're definitely.
He reckons I stuffed it.
Oh, I tell you what, it was a good lap from you, mate. I'm telling you, there's the outlap here at the moment for Adam Briggs. So just warming the tyres up, and here we go. We're on to the flying lap, the simrigs.com. Ford Mustang now on the hot lap, and let's see how he goes. Briggsy, can he bring this home into P1? We're going to find out. Check out the sector times he goes around. Hard under brakes here, then just get off the brakes for a second and hard on them again as we turn left into turn number 2, the Coca-Cola corner. Go under the bridge. Let's see if we can pull this one up as well. Swap sides of the lanes. Looking nice and smooth at the moment here for Adam Briggs. He's definitely hitting those apexes. I didn't see that in the pre-race show, Norrie, on your lap. I didn't see him so close to the apexes. Is that the difference? Is that 2 seconds there?
Thanks buddy. That's it.
That's it. We got a purple sector there in sector number 2. It's good to see a 14.9 for sector 2 as the Simrigs DPR car goes through. There we go, green sector in the next one. Will sector 4 be purple? He's going to have to start pushing. Looks like my timing system actually is saying a purple sector 3 up here. 11:57.
It is purple sector 3. You probably hit an apex somewhere through there.
Yeah. Is that all you've got to do is hit some apexes when you drive? Oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. Let's see how he goes. Briggsy now, the time about to come up. He goes P1 and the first one to get into a 104 and doesn't just get in there, goes a 104.845. Well, Jordan Ross, he's had an up and down season, hasn't he? He's got the new colours on this weekend. Great new livery to see from the Synergy Sim Racing guys. But he's pushing hard. We know he's extremely fast. He got on the podium in last year's season. And no, he's on an outlap. He's on an outlap, Jordan Ross. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's go back to Corey Shepherd, the bridesmaid. He's come number 2 just about every race this year. Is it every race he's come P2? What did he come in race number 2? I think that's the only one I've got a question
He won race 2 because everyone else got each other out. But Corey Shepherd, P1.
He's gone through. He wasn't mucking around. A 104.84 though, only by 100ths of a second. So that's very, very close as Jordan Ross now is on his hot lap.
Yeah, I'm looking at this timing board, and these guys are going to need to get a hurry on because they're going to run out of track time here if they keep dodging.
Well, that's why we're pushing them hard. We're pushing them hard to get around Jordan Ross, though. We've only got 2 drivers left, I believe, in this one. So 2 drivers left. James Scott will be the last one to qualify. He is on his out lap, and we're seeing purple sector times come up already, which is pretty ominous when he's on an out lap. Jordan Ross will go through, and we're going to have a look at Jordan Ross now and see what time he ends up with. He goes P4 with a 105.04, so doesn't get a 104. James Scott is purple everywhere. This is his fast lap. This is his qualifier. Where are we going to see all purples, waiting for the time to come up? 104.836. Is that right? A 104.836. And that will put him at P1, I do believe. So Scott will go forward. They're just waiting for the timing screen to update there. But yeah, it was an 8.4 there from Shepherd and an 8.3 from James Scott. So very, very close. And we did see him a little bit faster than that in some of the practice sessions. So it does go to show you that the lone qualifier does throw a cat amongst the pigeons as we go to, no, we're going to see something different. Maybe that didn't count. Maybe we had too much curb there. Maybe the time has not gone in from James Scott. This is exactly what it can do. It can throw a cat amongst the pigeons, Norrie, and James Scott will start out of P37. Big story. Let's put that down in the books. Corey Shepherd starts out of P1 in the Premier Racing Team car. Adam Briggs alongside in the DPR car. Dylan Rudd, Jordan Ross alongside him. Aaron Dodds are the 2 NSR cars behind each other in 3rd and 5th. Damien Johnson will round out the 3rd row. Brett Loxton on the 4th row with Michael Taliantich. 5th row will be Kyle Stokes with Tom Freer beside, making the top 10 this week. Brian Borg just outside the top 10 and 11 with Kenneth Ladder alongside in row number 6. But yes, if you just joined us, James Scott is P37. Then we go back to, it is Luke Rosella and Andrew Dyson on the 7th row. And then we go back. All right, let's have a look. Reese Keane and Stephen Varga will be in 15 and 16. Jaden Borg and Christian Smart in 17 18. Greg Sallin in 19 with Rob Bowden alongside in 20. Thomas Hinds all the way back in 21 after he was in the top 10 there. Michael Misdale in 22nd.
Hey, do you want to start behind the safety car?
Position number 26. Bailey Fridge will start out of 27. Jamie Stovold in 28. Sebastian Flock in 29. Greg Sharp in 30. Daniel Hethersheed in 31. Craig Ansbach in 32. Rob Harris hasn't been a lucky. The number 13 still on board. He's in 33. Jacob Knight in 34. And we're going to get underway. Tony Gaffer in 35. David Kim in 36. And it's going to be James Scott in 37 as we get underway. Not quite sure what's happened here. The lights have come out and gone. Gridding. I do have a green flag up on my events though, so I'm not quite sure exactly what is happening here. But there seems to be some issue here as we start to get the safety car out.
Jeez.
So the safety car is going to the front. Not quite sure what's happened here, but the safety car being called out and they're going through. A bit of a flash of the lights, maybe an issue here. The race not getting underway. So we do have some sort of issue and we're just waiting for race control to get in touch with us because we'll find out exactly what is going on at the moment and we're working in the background to find out exactly what has happened to this one. But it
so
was
as far
right.
as I can tell, the timing ran out as James Scott crossed the line. His lap did not count because the timing ran out. So race control is trying to start this one under safety car to correct that timing error in the timing boards and put James Scott back at the front of this field where he qualified.
That makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? That makes a real lot of sense there, which we saw all those purple sector times. And normally if we get an out of bounds on track, we wouldn't have seen that light up from James Scott. Very uncharacteristic. I would have expected to see him possibly, you know, drop. He's very experienced. I did not expect to see him maybe lose that. We're hoping that we might have seen something stranger happen in the top 10 and maybe it wasn't going to be a dominated James Scott. Not that we don't like James, but it's always great to see a mixture of people up there on the podium, which we have had a little bit of this season, but James Scott obviously dominating. So this is, you know, the latest news out there is a timing issue there where it timed out with James Scott doing the qualifying. He did run the fastest time in qualifying, so the only way to rectify that is to start this under safety car in this race. So there we go. He's gone all the way back up. He has taken his position as P1 there with Scott. Shepherd out of P2, Briggs out of P3, Rudd P4, Ross P5, and then we'll see Dodd in 6, Johnson in 7, Loxton in 8, Taliancic in 9, and your top 10 will be rounded out by Kyle Stokes on this restart. So something very different. It's going to be plenty for us to talk about in next week's pre-show, Norrie.
Absolutely. It's something we don't often see, and it's good that Race Control was onto it and started this one, as they should have, with James Scott at the helm of the field. I mean, I would have liked to see him work for it, but that's fun.
So does this count in our betting that the safety car's already been out? Does that mean we've won a bet with Race Control?
Yes.
Yes, I take it as a win. Dan, if you're watching this, wherever you are, enjoying yourself, we've had a win, mate. We've got ourselves another win. The safety car's already been on track. So not the way you do want to start these things, but it is what happened, and we will get underway. Puts everyone in the right position there, and I'm sure if you're in James Scott's shoes, you would not want to be starting from the back of the grid when you have gone out there and laid that fastest time down, as the race is underway and we are now getting started. It means we are going to have one lap already completed under safety car to start things off, so it will only be 56 laps of full race speed, depending on whether we get a second safety car, which, are we going to double or nothing at Norrie? We're going to lay it down, double or nothing, we get a second safety car.
No, I'm a wise gambler. I'm going to take my money and go home. But James Scott is leading this one, and it looks like it's a pretty smooth start. We should do single file restarts more often. This is awesome.
Yeah, I do like it. I think it's fantastic. It's a good way to get things underway, and you can get right up behind him. Mind you, James Scott is the king of restarts, doesn't he? He always seems to get a little bit of a way. As Dodd now behind Jordan Ross. So Jordan Ross sandwiched between the two NSR esports cars at the moment, but it looks like Dylan Rudd is just pulling away from Ross, and it is Dodd putting all the pressure on from behind in that position 6. Oh, look there, sideways coming out for Rudd. He just oversteered that coming out of the corner, and check this curb cam out as they come around. What a shot that is as they start to make their way onto the main straight already. They come around, complete their first flying lap. Scott's still leading this one, Shepherd behind there, and then it's back to Briggs, Rudd, Ross, Dodd, and Johnston, Loxton, Taliancic, and Stokes to round out your top 10.
Yeah, we paid a lot for that new curb cam, and they're all destroying it with their left front tyre, so it's money well spent, I think. Taliancic here is a bit of an air gap between him and Brett Loxton ahead. So he's going to want to sort that one out quick, smart, as you see this little battle pack of Stokes, Freer, Borg just hanging around in the back there, all just trying to make their own little paywall of sunshines.
Checking out Kimmond at the moment because he has moved back to the back of the grid. He's lost a position to go back. David Kimmond will shoot some racing. So unfortunately, Craig Answich is another one who's lost 3 positions. So unfortunate for him as well. Who has had a bit of contact between the number 25, which is in new colours this week, I do believe, which is Thomas Hinds. So, you know, poor Thomas Hinds, he was 10 out of pre-qualifying. He ended up back in 16th or 17th, didn't he, on the restart? So he's pushed back all the way to 23rd at the moment. So not quite the start he wanted.
And that just goes to show you how that qualifying mixes it up and can change where you are. You think you're in the top 10 and suddenly you're P14.
Yeah, and I think it's very important, isn't it, to try and get some free air. You notice like the top 6 or 7 drivers have pulled away from the rest of the pack a little bit. Not much, just a little bit of a gap there. And, you know, they're going that slightly bit faster. You're stuck in the pack, but you're one of the fastest cars. We see a bit of a move here, though. That's Frid. Just puts the nose on the inside of Harrison. Looks like he might get it done. Harrison, will he stay on the inside? No, he's going to get that position back, and it's a right-hander. It's actually a couple of right-handers, so it's going to be a little bit of an advantage for him on this one. So Harrison in the 96 will take that position. Frid will try and do the crisscross. Just maybe a little bit of a nudge there on the under the back of the Mustang now as Frid puts a nose in on the apex. That's how you find the apex, Norrie. You get on the inside of another car.
Yeah, I didn't have enough car with me to do that. That was a bit of a hit and an off, and 3 places there for Jamie Stovall. But yeah, the consequences of the left-right nature of this circuit does mean if you get up beside your competitor, you've got to make sure you've got following corners to protect that line and not get them back on you through the overcut.
Yeah, so we're staying on board with Harrison, and I do like in front of him, though, in front of Harrison was Greg Sharp in the Cotta Sim Sport entry. How good do the new Penrite colours look? I do like it as Jaden Borg on screen now I love having the white on there. I think it just looks fantastic, and good to see them update their livery into round 6 here of the AOSC. Race 181 here of our AOSC history. Of course, it is round 6 of season 10, and we check in with Hins, who is still battling out back down there in 22nd. Misdale just behind in the simrigs.com. So I believe he is another one that's taken on with the DPR team as well. And so many people in that team now coming together, put all their data. That's what it really is about, collecting as much data as possible to get these cars set up to give the advantage to try and put as many of those Simrigs DPR cars on the podium as possible throughout the season and challenge James Scott for what is so far been dominated by him and Corey Shepherd, really. Just because Shepherd hasn't only won one race, he has been on the podium right behind him every time. So those guys right up the front, and no surprise, they're 1 and 2 at the moment. Is Briggs in pit lane? Is that what I'm seeing, Norrie? That is what is coming up on our screen. No, it's just as they cross over. So that's just it coming out on our overlay system. But looking up at our timing boards, Briggs has stayed out. I would have been surprised there because we are talking about lap 18. With the safety car, though, does that mean we can go earliest we'll possibly see is 19? Well, they can still come at 18. They just won't have to take as much fuel.
Yeah, 20 or 21. I'm glad you answered your own question there, Matty.
Yeah, I think of these things. It's getting late here on the East Coast, so, I'm waking up. The lollies are kicking in, a bit of iced coffee, and I'm good to go. Up on screen, though, you can see Borgie. Damien Johnson on screen at the moment. I'm looking down at something else. It's green on my screen, but I am waking up. See, I am waking up slowly. So he started out as P7 and he stayed there at the moment as soon as you sim racing car. So still in P7, getting around. I mean, he is one who actually did really well as we check in with Michael Barron at the moment. The Mac 1 Esports goes off onto the grass, can't pull it up, and he is out on the dirt. So he will relinquish quite a few positions on that one, and that's exactly where it can come unstuck there on turn number 2 if you can't get the braking under control. Once you're out on the loose stuff, you're just going to slide away. Head back live, and we're back with Johnson at the moment. Damien Johnson, the Synergy Sim racing car. He is a good luck story at the moment. He was P11 really before when we did the lone qualifying shootout, and the top 10 come out, and he ended up in 7th. So he went up 4 positions. So it doesn't mean you've got to be in that top 10. The advantage is you can see the time you have to beat, really, and you get a little bit more airtime on our live coverage on Facebook, obviously free, and the YouTube channel AOSC TV as Rob Bowden, the 16. Let's check him come round in the Tank SRT car, the number 16. There's something happening for him. We're seeing the events up on the screen. Oh, gets a little bit loose there, a bit of a twitch under brakes, comes out onto the main straight. Gets the inside wheels up over the curb, out on that wall, pulls in under the slipstream too, just slides in nicely there. Rob Bowden in the 20th position at the moment. And here it is, look at all the lights, they light up hard under brakes. It wouldn't be hard to lock a tyre up there coming around that corner. You get that wrong, he's, you can see up there the lap times at the moment. He's chasing Smart down from P19. Smart looks like he's going to try and make a bit of a move there. Oh, there we go, a little bit of contact. Rub and run, that's what it is, a bit of rub and run.
That was Bowden getting Christian Smart's Christmas card address, and he'll be sending it.
Christian Smart's just sharing his sponsorship around. You can see some of the stickers might have rubbed off on the back of his car there. But Smart's putting a lot of pressure onto Jaden Borg, actually, in the Dakota Sim Sports car in front. So they got a little bit of a battle here, and Rob really just needs to sit around, see if he can take advantage of this at the moment. That's got to be holding Jaden Borg up just a fraction there out front in the Penrite car. Christian Smart doing everything he can to try and stay with him, maybe try and get a little bit of a draft down here under the straight. You're going to have to make sure you're watching that car in front, because if you miss your braking marks, you're going to end up overshooting turn number 2. You're coming here at full speed, but if you don't get on the brakes early enough, you just can't pull it up. And oh, the camera curse. We locked the wheel up there for Jaden Borg. Exactly what I was saying.
Not only the camera curse, you was talking about the lock-up as he was locking up, and it looks like Christian Smart didn't get that move done, but he should have. That was a door wide open, almost begging him to make the pass.
I can look into my crystals. You know what it is? We brought him up on screen. Semi-beard. That's a poor attempt at the beard, and that's what happened, you know. If he'd had the full beard, he would have pulled that up just fine. I can tell you, the confidence would have been through the roof. But he's opened up a little bit of air now too, which has given Rob Bowden a bit of a chance there on Christian Smart to close that up, and right behind him, Hins as well. So these are in a little bit of a battle now, and this is the battle at the moment for P19. So it goes 19. Here you go. Up on the inside, Bowden, the Tank SRT team. Is he going to get this done down the main straight? Can he get the drive? No, he has to slot him behind and get in that draft, because right behind him, Thomas Hins, well, he's ominous in the background. Something's going to happen between these two. Anything. Hins now puts a nose in. Can he do it under brakes? Pushes him wide. No contact. Great move there, and great to see that Bowden gives him the racing line too, knowing that he's the faster car. He got the nose in. He deserved to get that opportunity, and good to see him in the side mirrors, that he was coming through and make a little bit of room for him. So that is fantastic racing. Unfortunately though for Bowden, he gives up a P20 and goes to P21. Let's head on board now. Freya, where has he ended up? He is in P11 at the moment. The Synergy Sim Racing having a much better night tonight so far, but you know, you can get unlucky in your second race, in your 51st race, your 51st anniversary, because you got Brian Borg right behind you. He's got the new race colours on, the new war paint, and you know he is a seasoned racer, plenty of experience when it comes to this, and he'll be putting all the pressure onto Tom Freer as they come around to complete lap number 11. So we've got ourselves, 46 laps left in this race. We're about halfway to what we predict will be our first pit stop, somewhere between lap 19 and 22 we're predicting will be the start of the pit stops. Right over the back of the Synergy Sim Racing car of Freer, isn't he? Freer just having to hold on in the 707, not having to do too much. I don't think Brian's up quite close enough to make a move, but he's closing that gap and just putting himself in the right position, waiting for that opportunity, and it's all about patience sometimes. Just keep that pressure on.
It does seem that Borgie's Premier car seems a bit more stable under brakes, as when they brake it does close the gap to Freer substantially, and Freer's got a bit more drive hops over the curb there, so it's a bit wild coming off that one for Freer. Through the dog leg now, and it's locking up in front, so Borgie might get the eyes on here. He might have him down at 1.
Why do you say that? Look, I'm sure that when they did the tracking of this on iRacing, they picked those painted white lines, and they have definitely put them into the game, because plenty of those getting around when you come out of that exit. Here we go, we're back on board. Borg has a moment there looking at Tom Freer. The white smoke from the front wheel is a lock up there going into turn 2 as they come around. Now it's down to the shell corner. What can he do? They're not too far in front either, and that's the other thing. Kyle Stokes, Michael Taliancic just in front, so they're in a pack of 4 at the moment. Borgie just hanging off the back of this one in the Premier Racing Team entry, and the new war paint. I do like it, Borgie, so when you go back and watch this footage, or whether you're listening to us, I do like the new war paint on this car. You notice there's a little bit of a gap there from Taliancic then to Brett Loxton, Damon Johnson up ahead, but James Scott, Corey Shepherd and Adam Briggs have opened up. I'm looking up on our track map. James Scott's out in front. Don't forget about him. He's got himself a second and a half, 2 seconds. Then it's Corey Shepherd and Adam Briggs in a bit of a battle. And P4 is Dylan Rudd. He's just in a world of his own. He's got free air. Okay, he's got himself some free air. He just needs to stick to his racing lines and try and keep up. As we can see, Tom Freer now, he's not going to be close enough. But Borgie's just backed off a bit there. He's dropped off the back of Freer. Maybe he's used those tyres up a little bit as we head back down to Jamie Stovall, the Shoot Sim Racing entry. And he is just on the back of P24. He's, Troy Maguire's in 23 just in front. So you're going in P23, Troy Maguire, Luke Page, the privateer there in the Sim Cube entry. Then back to Jamie Stovall and Bailey Freed, who had a bit of a moment earlier in the race. Well, we've seen him a little bit in qualifying too, have a few moments, and he is back down towards the back of the pack. Of course, 37 cars entered in tonight's race, and we've put them all out on track at once here at Oran Park. 2.61 kilometres is not a big track, though, for them to get around. It is very fast. We're just over a minute to get around here. 1:04.6 is the fastest time from James Scott, and that's in race. So that is faster than what we saw them in the qualifying, which is the 1:04.8.3 was his time in qualifying. But they've had a few back-to-back laps here, so we'll put that together, just over a minute a lap. That's why we should see 57 laps in this race as we go on with Jamie Stovall. The back suspension doing its job there, and Hins in the background, lurking in the 25. He's got the new paint on. Daniel Misdale up on screen there, the Simrigs DPR car. This is position 21. Thomas Hin's behind in 22. And there we go under brakes. You can see how close they get. There is not much time between them at the moment. I'm looking at it's less than 3/10 of a second. There we go. The nose cone comes forward. He's throwing plenty of rubber up onto that car. They can see the remnants of that coming off the rear tyres here of Misdale. Goes out wide here. Oh, a little bit of oversteer, I think, there for Hinds. He has to pull that in. Just slides the car around the corner as they go over the bridge. Slightly different racing lines too from both these drivers is what we can see. Misdale just using a little bit more as he goes out, but Hinds is using as much as he can, almost dropping a wheel off onto the dirt. I think he might have almost then, which is, you have to be careful about that one. Sometimes there are some drivers who don't like to follow other cars because it does blindside them a little bit, but he is pushing really hard now onto the back of Misdale to see if he can make him make an error. It doesn't look like he's got quite enough race pace to get the drive out of the last corner down the main straight and make it happen. Let's see how he goes under brakes here. You're not going to see it through turn 1. It's turn 2 where you're going to see him try and take a dive under brakes. Will he do it on this lap? I don't think he is close enough to make that happen, and he actually overshoots the corner by the tiniest of amount, which gives Misdale that little bit of a nice drive there to come down into Shell Corner and make this right-hand turn. Not far in front, though, you can see Rob Bowden and Jaden Borg just in front in P18 and 19 as they've just gone over the bridge at the moment. Here you go, the right-hander comes out of nowhere. Of course, these guys and girls know exactly where that right-hander is. You're doing it almost by muscle memory at this point. Down here, just got to make sure no one's gone off and dragged some dirt onto the track, because coming out of this corner here, sometimes the dirt can be dragged back on there. It's very, very loose as we head up over here. Preempting that left-hander as they go through the dog leg, and now the final corner. Recaro corner, head back onto the main straight. And I notice there's a couple of different lines through there as well, but you really need to minimise the wheel spin there. You don't want to excite the tyres too much and get a nice drive out of here. Someone who has been impressive at last round and did quite well in qualifying, Kenneth Ladder, unfortunately got pushed back a little bit into P13 after the lone qualifier session. He did do a little bit better in our pre-qualifying, made it into the top 10, but pushed back to 13. But Kenneth Ladder finished 7th in our last race, made quite a few positions as well, and now joined up in the Simrigs.com DPR team. I expect he is getting a lot of data back and feedback on how to set the car up, which, you know, it's only tenths of a second he is chasing just to put him up there and challenge in the top 5. Tenths of a second.
Well, it is the team boss, Andrew Dyson, sitting right up his backs in there, so he is going to be getting and giving an awful lot of data out of this lap.
Reese Keane behind him as well. So the 3 Simrigs cars are taking over a fair bit on this field. It's going to be interesting to see, because we do have, obviously now with Bowler Media Sideways Photography, they're going to get some great shots of these DPR guys, because they are all in position at the moment. 13, 14 and 15 on screen. And
Brian Bull, who keeps making lockups at turn 2. This is a battle pack to watch.
Yeah, Borgie's just backed off a Freya there, hasn't he? It's almost like he may have chewed up a little bit of tyre, maybe just got a little bit tired there trying to keep. Freya just held his cool there in P11 now and opens up a little bit of a gap. That's where he started in P11. He's got Kyle Stokes in front of him. For Borgie, you're going to have to watch out, buddy, because the DPR guys, I mean, if they just let Reese King catch up just that little bit and get under the back spoiler, maybe they can drag each other down the main straight and make that move happen. Because if they get the freight train in, one of them gets the nose, and I think you're going to see the other 2 DPR cars go as well. Borgie's not going to get any sort of gap there to be able to push himself back into the racing line. As Borgie gets a little bit sideways there too, and almost a brush with the wall, just leaving a little bit of that new war paint on the wall. But I think he did miss at that time. A little bit of war wounds on a couple of the DPR cars over some of that livery getting scraped away. So everyone's just using as much as they can, and don't be surprised if we lose a couple of mirrors, I reckon, on that wall coming out later in the race when everyone's sort of pushing the tyres are starting to wear away. We do suspect that everyone will take tyres. Our pit reporter Norrie, he has said take tyres, so we're expecting most people will. Why risk it? They get done at the same time as fuel, you may as well make it happen.
It's a Friday freebie, 2 for 1.
2 for 1 this Friday only, round number 6 here at Oran Park here for the AOSC 10, race number 181. And James Scott, we're on lap 18. Will he come in? No, he will not. Lap 18, and he is going. And Norrie, this is the prediction from this lap onwards. They could pit at any stage. Maybe we see Brian Borg. We've seen him do it in previous races where he has decided, you know what, I'm going to take the undercut here. I'm going to come in and pit early, and he pushes those tyres all the way home. But he's got cars right behind him. He could upset them if he pulled in. There we go. First one in. Who is that?
So he wasn't happy with the Simrigs DPR freight train. He wants to run the Andrew Dyson show his own way. And given that I stuffed his car in the pre-show, that's fair enough.
Is they going to get under there and reset some roll bars, you reckon, in the pit stop as well? What did Norrie do to the roll bar settings? Put them back. Well, Brian Borg now will just he's still got Kenneth Latta right under that rear wing of that car, but now there is a little bit of a gap back to Reece Keane. So probably a little bit of a reprieve there for Brian Borg, but he needs to remain calm. So in and out of the pits, it's not a big run into the pits. It's hard braking, it's tricky, but once you're in, and this is where it probably could pay off for Dyson is, look at the exit here. Will he get out in some clean? James Scott, he holds on. I mean, it's a minute 4 to get around here at the moment, Norrie, so the risk is in pit lane. I'm just going to try and have a look at how long Dyson was in there for, completely in pit lane, because this is the other risk. If you're too far down the package, you're going to get lapped in there. So I actually don't have a pit time come up on my timing screen at the moment. I'll wait for that to sort of settle down because everything is moving around. So we're looking through this, and it's 53 seconds total in the pit lane, and it's 104 for a lap. So if you are more than, let's say you're 15 seconds behind the leader, you're probably going to get lapped. Especially if it's James Scott there.
Short circuit is that the leader can come around and lap you, like you say, if you are 15 seconds behind. So Dyson now has to really get the Simrigs car, put it into drive and pedal it, because James Scott will not want to sit behind him. But James Scott is sideways and needs to pit as well. So it's flash of the lights, and it's not really intimidating when you just slid the car off turn 14. But let's see if he's actually passed one of the other Simrigs cars out of the pit lane there.
Kenneth Latta has gone in there in the alcohol and DPR car. So Kenneth Latta now drops back behind Dyson. So he is behind James Scott. So Dyson was probably the last car that could have tried to do the undercut, I think, because if a safety car happens now, Dyson can get, Dyson is going to go around in front of Scott. Whether, if they get, say, maybe another 5 or 6 laps with the pace that James Scott's got, will Latta get back in front? That is the question.
Is it rhetorical?
No, well, I'm asking. I mean, he's going to get back on the. He'll end up back on the lead lap, but he could end up down the field there, depending on who gets in and takes it. So it's going to be very interesting from this point onwards as they come around, and we're starting to lap a few cars now with James Scott out there in the lead in the Logitech G Altus Esports car, and he's not going to the pits again. We're going to get another lap out of him. We're 22 in, remembering that lap number 1 was under safety car. We'll go through that a little bit later, but a weird start, and just having a look at some of the times going by, and so far 104.60 is the best time from James Scott, but he is flying around at the moment, still maintaining that qualifying pace as we head in with Greg Sharp in the Cotter Sim Sports car. Little dust kick up there, just one wheel just touching the dirt. Well, Daniel Misdale has gone himself into a little bit of mischief there, and we're going to check that out on screen at the moment. Find out exactly what happened there in the 73. Just goes out wide, wheels in the dirt. Does he pull it up? Just a nudge of the wall. He already had some damage on that side of the car too. I reckon you're not going to see the centre line of the steering wheel on that one at the moment.
No, it's not a good idea to have an incident up there, but thankfully he sort of grazed the wall and gets on with business. This is Greg Sharp here, centre screen. Like you say, those Penrite cars are looking super good with that new white livery.
Yeah, I'm quite enjoying that actually on the car, and good to see him getting around, especially the red rims. I reckon that really stands out. Maybe they've got some guy painting those that knows what he's doing. You've got to be nice to their painters, don't you, Norrie? You need the guy that does the painting on that car.
Oh, well, he's off getting a pedicure tonight, so I'm not really too sure about that. But Aaron Dodd here is peddling his NSR Esports Commodore. It is a Commodore, looks like one.
Yeah.
And he's peddling it around Oran Park here with
I'll tell you what, Norrie, I'll give you a little bit of a tip. If it's not a Mustang, it's a Commodore.
That's a good one. I should keep that for next time I'm up here in the booth.
Yeah.
It's Damien Johnson celebrating his 50th race. He is fighting back there for 7th as Thomas Hines is running around the outside. That's not going to pay the bills. He's going to give that place straight back to Jaden Borg.
I don't know here. You think that, don't you? A couple of right-handers, but then they're going to go into this left. He's going to stay beside him. This one could get hairy. Oh, a little bit of room there. I think Borg pulls out of that one. I don't think we made much contact there, but the flash of the lights just shows how happy he is about that move.
Yeah, I don't think so. After got that one. It's probably telling.
Hins now pushing hard, isn't he, at the moment? He's pushed all the way back up to 17. I'm just having a look. He is 4 positions up, but I think that's actually 3. It's actually 5 positions. It's 5 because obviously we had the restart there with James Scott under safety car due to a little bit of an error earlier in the qualifying session. Let's get on board now. The Baron, Michael Baron in the Mark 1 Esports. Is that how we pronounce his last name? Is he going to have a one of those Baron hats on? I want to see him with the goggles and everything going around. I think we should paint his helmet up like that. That's something we can do in our livery. Oh, sideways there. Oh, who is that? That's Greg Stallon, the NSR car. He just got a little bit loose there.
He got Baron by Michael.
The Baron flew past him. Just want to see like a fighter pilot livery on that one. That's what I want to see. Look, he's got a few scars on that car as well too, doesn't he? The Baron. A few little scars on the front, so he's been pushing his way around the track there. Just slides the car up. We head back on board with Hins, who is pushing on with Borgie just behind him. It's Jaden Borg in that one. He's trying everything he can do in the Coda Sim Sports. Penrite car is a little bit wide there from Hins, but it's still a nice drive. Just having a look, plenty of guys starting to make their way into the pits, but James Scott, our leader, has not done that yet. But Sharpie, I do believe, is in the pits, taking some fuel on and probably some tyres. Pushing on, though, we head back into Hayden Harrison up to P26 at the moment. He's made up 5 spots in the 96 car. In saying that, we are going to expect that, no, he hasn't made up any spots. He's made up 1 spot, really, when we look up on the timing screen, but we do have people in the pits, so that's probably to account for some of that as they keep getting around. But James Scott has not pitted yet. Corey Shepherd, Adam Briggs in 2 and 3. So we'll be interested to see exactly what happens there. We're seeing plenty of people moving around on our timing screen at the moment. So plenty of things happening as people come into the pits. Nora, I don't know what you're seeing, just a wheel off there from Harrison there. Just that might affect a little bit of drive there, but doesn't unsettle the car too much. But who is going to come into the pits on this one? They all head out wide. It's very hard to tell as we get back on board with Troy Maguire in the Taipan Esports 63 as he slides it into turn 2. Under brakes, and right behind him, Jamie Stovold can't really make a position off of that one. It wasn't the right position for him to try and take a dive. Probably wasn't close enough either. Didn't get the drive coming out. In the background there, you see Bailey Frid. He is loose tonight. I don't know what they've done to the setup of that car, but it has been very loose around Oran Park. Yeah, he just really hasn't hit the apexes. I think he's been watching the pre-race show too much.
Yeah, as good as that lap was, it was a bit subpar. So I'll give my apologies for missing the apexes on that pre-show. But this is where the action is. Bailey Frid is loose in this one tonight, but it's Troy Maguire centre screen in his Mustang. That's a Mustang. It's not a Commodore.
Well, it's one or the other. It's 50-50, really. I mean, the safety car stands out. You can tell the safety car.
So Reese Keane is in the lane.
Oh, he's keen to get some fuel and tyres. In he goes, the Simrigs car. We're just having a look up on our screen as people start to move around now. Dylan Rudd in 4th in the NSR car. Jordan Ross up into in 5th still. Aaron Dodd in 6th. Damien Johnson still in 7th. Brett Loxton 8th. Michael Taliancic 9. And Kyle Stokes rounds out the top 10 so far. And none of them in the pits. But when will we see it? It's got to happen. We see Jacob Knight up on screen. Oh, those tyres starting to get really excitable.
I did say before the race, you can get 39 laps out of a tank. So between 18 and 39, that's roughly the window. Oh, sideways.
There we go. Dodd now heading into the pit, so we will start seeing some of those cars pitting. I think it's probably smart to go about halfway. Tyres look like they've taken a fair bit of a beating at this point, and they're sliding around the track. It works for some drivers. Maybe it's your driving style that the sliding around the track works for you, but it's going to get to a point where it's just going to be safe to come in and take those tyres and fuel, as we just see someone else in the background start to head into the pits as well, one of the NSR cars by the looks of it. But the 24 here, Jacob Knight, going to hold on to this one. Oh, under brakes.
Oh,
Gets real loose.
I've seen some passes in my time, but that didn't look like it was set for a pass.
He looks like he was just trying to imitate the car in front, but the car in front didn't have any angle, so it definitely was not a drift move.
Yep.
Definitely was not. So, but he is all over the place too. I think those tyres definitely gone in that car for Jacob Knight. So, head of Sheed in the 111 Esports car. Now he's sideways, the 35, pushing hard. This is exciting to watch. I don't care what position they're in. This is good stuff to watch on screen at the moment.
When you think all 37 everything to this, and Oran Park is a track that definitely doesn't let up. You've got to be on the ball constantly around this circuit. It is just 2.4 kilometers of instant action.
There, so there we go. Head of Sheed will head into the pits. Jacob Knight will head out. So they've got their drift battle done, and they will not be out there emulating each other's style any longer. They'll try and separate for a few laps anyway. We'll see how they come out of pit lane. But it looks like so far most people have got out of pit lane safely, haven't had any comings together, which of course now I will give them the commentator's curse. Here we go, the Hins up on screen. Rob Bowden in front in the Tank SRT car. So Hins still pushing hard up 8 positions at the moment into P14. Looking to move into P13 from Bowden, and he's going to have to do something. He's going to hold out a hard charging Hins. Let's have a look and see where the Hins is going to come in. No, Bowden's going to take it. He's going to get hard on the brakes and pull into pit lane now. Hins is going to keep out there. Well, while he's making these times, so let's have a look at his last lap time. A 105.06 is his fastest. A 105.52 was his last lap. Thinking James Scott's doing a 105.32. So it's actually a pretty reasonable time there. Corey Shepherd only did a 105.55. Hins doing a 5.2. So he's pretty quick out there at the moment. It's not James Scott pace, but it doesn't look like many people are doing that at the moment. James Scott still leading us out in the Logitech G Altus Esports team, and plenty of things moving around, trying to see who's in our pits.
Corey Shepherd looks like he's made the pit lane, and Rudd and Johnston. Not Rudd, Johnston.
Johnston. All of them. Bowden, looks like Borg coming out now too. That's Jaden Borg. They're all starting to come out of the pits. Let's hope that they get a safe redress to come out there. It can be very tricky going into turn number 2, but so far so good in the race. We have put a double or nothing down on the safety car coming out again, and we haven't won. But James Scott, as you see our lead, as he drops a wheel out in the dirt, runs it real wide there. But he is between a couple of cars, but he's got a little bit of clean air. Position number 20 just in front of him, which is David Kimmond. As you can just see, it spits up a little bit of dirt there. Let's see where Shepherd comes out. I think he will stay in front, but we'll have to have a look at the difference between him and James Scott. Will he come out in traffic? The Mr. Antenna car that is, we joke about him having the bridesmaid dress on because he has had 5 second place finishes and 1 win. He has followed James Scott all the way home. He will see a little bit of traffic in front of him too, which is going to make it hard for him to get by. It looks like Knight, who has not come in yet, so that's probably one good thing as he goes in. And is that James Scott in the pits, is it?
Yes.
Number 1, Brett Loxton will take the lead of this race in the Xavier Racing entry. So Loxton now leads the race at the moment. Freer in second. That's a big up from him last week. He's currently up there in second. Brian Borg in third at the moment, but they have not gone into the pits yet. So wait for this to reset itself as we start to see all the cars entering the pits. Lap 32, not too many laps left, but I think they're just hoping they can get home on the freshest tyres possible. Scott out now. Will he go out in front of Shepherd? Here we go. One comes out. Well, he's a bit of contact from behind there, was it? The 84 car just has to get on the brake. Sebastian Flock, that upsets his little run. They're not quite sure if any contact was made because James Scott's car didn't see any attitude from that or any movement.
You would not want to be the rear view mirror on James Scott's car after that. It looked like it was a super close battle with Sebastian Flock.
Look, I'm just glad he didn't get drop punted way into the goals because he would have gone flying off there as he was on a fly. And that's what we spoke about, didn't we, coming out of pit lane, is that everyone's coming down this 6th gear and then they jam it down to 4th or 3rd, then they've got to get hard, a little bit of off the brake, back onto it, down into 2nd to get that turn done. Car pulls out in front of you, not at your speed, and it's a lot more braking you need to do and the potential to lock up there, and anything could happen as James Scott now comes around and completes that lap. And I'm just trying to see where Scott is over Corey Shepherd. So there's actually a couple of guys. Adam Briggs has gone up over Shepherd. That is interesting. So Briggs has actually made that pit stop work for him. Let's have a look at the replay here as Stovall comes around. Oh no, that's him actually coming out at the moment. We head around. Here he comes out of pit lane. No, we're coming back on the main straight. We're trying to get the exit of pit lane. We'll get there eventually. Don't worry about that. So James Scott is your effective leader at the moment. There are some cars out in front of him at the moment, but they have not pitted. James Scott is the first car to have pitted in our list of cars at the moment. So that is what is happening out on track. Adam Briggs has moved up in front of Corey Shepherd. All right, let's head back as we just check out a little bit of replay from earlier on, and it looks like Harrison may have been involved. It's Hayden Harrison, the Type N Esports car, comes out of the exit of pit lane. Cold tyres. Who's that behind? No, just cold tyres. Excites him, gets sideways. And how lucky is that for one of the DPR cars? I'm just trying to see exactly who that is. Oh, now a little bit of contact there from someone else. That's unfortunate.
I don't want to call it wrong. I think it was Damien Johnston on the outside.
Well, and it is difficult, isn't it? Because it's just a little bit of a ripple strip, really, when you come out of pit exit. And if you take that too early and go over that, it unsettles the car, especially if you get hard on the accelerator. And once you light the tyres up, the car is sideways very, very quickly. Is this Stovall again? The 777. Then Michael Taliancic.
Cole Stokes, and they're having a rip-roar battle.
Oh, Stokes trying to shut the door. Taliancic's nowhere to go. I mean, we'll leave that one for the race control to sort out, but Stokes was coming down hard, wasn't he? Taliancic really wasn't going to go off the track.
I'm fairly sure if you ask Michael Taliancic what race control's verdict on that one, he'll say he solved it for them. But that was a move that was never on, never happening, and solved on circuit.
Well, the JK Signs gets a little bit of a touch-up. There'll be a bit of work, but paint and re-wrap to go on that side of the car before next week.
Race control have told Michael Taliancic to readdress. He will not be a happy camper.
Wow. And look, at least they've done that in a safe manner. They have readdressed that one. So Stokes now back into that P14, 13, Michael Taliancic in 14th. Looks like we might have someone in the pits. That's why they've changed the position there. And just behind them is Andrew Dyson. So Briggs is the one here, though, where he has moved up in front of Corey Shepherd. Let's check out the replay on this one. That might be the redress there as they came back onto the main straight. But P2 isn't too far behind James Scott at the moment, actually. So Adam Briggs is currently sitting, well, he's quite a few seconds, actually. 6 seconds behind Adam Briggs. Safety car has come out. Double or nothing. We took double or nothing. I don't know if Dan's listening, but hopefully he has sent in he put his bets in and said double or nothing. But so I'm going home with double the pot, mate. You went home, took a safe route. Safety car is coming out, so we are going to bunch these guys up again. Who will pit and who will take advantage of this one? Because Brian Borg hasn't pitted, Tom Freer has not pitted. People in the pits now, Troy Maguire, Fred. I'm just trying to see who else has gone in. They're all going in. It's all happening here. Our timing screens are lit up. Everything is moving all over the place. But if you could hold out this long and maintain your position, it might be a little bit of an advantage here. However, James Scott definitely going to get around and take the number 1. I'll be surprised if Borgie and Freya don't go in during the safety car. As Freya, the 707, here we go. Whoa, they're going to tighten this one up. Now, Borgie was on the back of Freya earlier in this race. He was all over the back of him, and then all of a sudden Freya just pulled away. Borgie just settled down and let him take a little bit of free air, but they're going to have fresh tyres, so that battle is going to be back on. We can't wait to see exactly where they come back out in the pack.
Unfortunately, it's probably going to be sort of towards the mid-pack because they left their run quite a bit late here on this run, but there's not long to go to the end of the race. About 20 laps remaining based on my very rudimental math skills, and they will have fresh green tyres, light fuel loads. It looks like Borgie's actually won the battle to get out of the lane.
Yeah, the undercut down there in pit lane, but where will they come back out? I mean, once they pull into position, they're going to be bunched up in the middle. Just trying to see where they are. Borgie in 12, Freya in 13. So they've got Ross Keane behind them, Andrew Dice in front of them. So they're in a DPR sandwich once again. Is Borgie the ham or the cheese? Because they're in...
Ham on top of your cheese?
Sorry?
You put the ham on top of the cheese?
Yeah. Oh, Tom Freya, I mean, last week was not a week you'd want to remember or go over, but we'll talk about it right now.
Yep.
Just briefly, but now he's going to be stuck in a bit of a battle. Borg's going to put the arms out. He's going to have the elbows up, especially trying to get past him, and then you've got a DPR car behind you, and Kenneth Ladder as well behind that. So 2 DPR cars behind you. Freya's in a very troublesome area, I suppose, if he wants to try and work his way up. It's going to be hard work for him, especially if he doesn't have super pace over the other cars. But here we go. James Scott is leading us in the Logitech G Autos Esports car. Adam Briggs got the jump over Corey Shepherd in the pit stop strategy, and the simrigs.com DPR car is in number 2. Corey Shepherd drops down to 3 in the Premier Racing Team car, but we know he's quick. You know, he can probably, he could be a little bit faster. Mind you, looking at the times there, he does have a couple of attempts on his best lap. So Corey Shepherd's just going to have to hold in there and see what he can do. Jordan Roth is up a position into 4, and 5 is Damien Johnston.
P6 is Dylan Rudd, and he'll be one to watch. He's been super quick and consistent all race tonight. So the NSR esports driver is making a charge in this series. He'll be one to watch on this restart, with Damien Johnston celebrating his 50th race. He was going to be P11, but he got the kick up during the top 10 battle off qualifying, and he moved up a few spots, and should be interesting to watch the top 9 to go to work.
Yeah, Damien Johnson was P7, so he's up a couple of spots. That's good from him.
I give you 20 laps and action aplenty.
Well, this is the other thing when the safety car comes out now. How long is it out for? Because, you know, on a large track, you might lose 2 laps. You know, they are big, long tracks, gives everyone a chance to get around. Here, if you get a wave by our race control under safety car, you're going to get on the back of the pack real quick, and you're going to lose quite a few laps with the safety car.
Yeah, but they're not long laps. So it doesn't matter how many you lose at Oran Park. It matters how many you lose at, let's say Bathurst or Phillip Island. You won't lose that many at Oran Park because you'll be back on the safety car as quick as you left it.
All right. Scott Chambers getting us around in the safety car. And oh, look at the intensity there. The intensity. Firm grip on the steering wheel as he smoothly takes these corners. He's even dropped it back into 2nd. I thought he would have been in 4th, just barely taking it off 2,000 RPM.
Yeah, it was fast last time I drove it.
It was fast. It was, actually. It was pretty quick. All right, looks like he is not pulling in yet, though we are going to get another lap under safety car. Remembering that the restart can happen anywhere between the dog leg and the main straight. So James Scott will lead us out once again, and so far he's been pretty good at the restarts, hasn't he? I mean, there hasn't been anyone who's been able to really get past him on the first corner. It's fast. It's going to be risky, especially if the tyres are cooled down, going down to that turn 2 at Coca-Cola corner. Are you going to take? I mean, every racer has to take the dive. You're not a real racer unless you got the opportunity. You're going to put the nose in there.
Yeah, to quote Ayrton Senna, if there is a gap that exists and you don't go for it, you're not a racing car driver. And I see 37 racing car drivers in front of me, so I predict one of them will take a gap.
Well, what's Freya do here? Does he do it on the first lap? Does he put it all in and catch Borg off guard?
I don't think he will. I think Freya will just sit around and follow Brian Borg for the duration of this one. Given the battle they had earlier on, they seemed quite evenly matched from my position here. So I think you'll see Talyancic try and make a move on Stokes. He'll be unhappy that he had to give that position back after what he probably thought was a fair fight. Like I've already said, Rudd on Johnston, that's going to be an interesting ball. And Scott Chambers accelerates the safety car away from the field. That is more like it. We'd like to see that one moving quite quickly. And now it's in the hands of James Scott to get us re-going here at Oran Park.
Wide here in the final corner, doesn't he? Tries to get that drive, and looks like he has got every ounce of it as he opens the gap up already on Adam Briggs there. As they go down the main straight to restart this, well, not restart, but recommence this race on lap 40 of 57. 17 laps left in this race here at Oran Park, and we are back underway under green. Bunched up and ready to race. We go down to turn 2. Could all happen here. Talyancic doesn't look like he's going to get on Stokes, so he doesn't make the dive. Borgie's got a little gap over Freya. We spoke about Hinz. Where is he? Because he has been pushing hard. He is back in 18 and following Luke Rosella and Stephen Varga. So watch him as well, as he's been pushing through the pack throughout this entire race. Not quite where he wanted to be. Had a chance to be the 10th fastest qualifier to start with. Came out in the lone qualifier and ended up back in 13. Sideways there from Stoke. It's Stoke. Oh, Talyancic can't make a move here at the moment. He's beside him though, but it's a left-hander. He's on the outside. I know there's no love lost between these two. Talyancic is off. He's pushed off. Let's see what race could have to say about that one, because I can tell you what, Talyancic will not be happy and watch. I don't know if the rage quit will happen, but he's definitely not going to be happy about that one. I'm sure he is on the Discord now venting his frustration at that one. It'll be great to see a replay of that if we get a chance, because this one was Stokes there sideways, and I don't know how he held on to that one. Talyancic's around the outside. Just having a look here, gets under brakes, and he actually comes together with the DPR car, actually. Yeah, like they lock tyres.
The other angle more showed it coming off Stokes' car, but it was actually the DPR car that was in there. And it was actually Andrew Dyson up the side of Talyancic there, so he won't be happy about that. Like you say, he will be ruining the day that Stokes got sideways, because he had to find the way on the outside around. Hinz trying to get around here.
Rosella now holding out a hard-charging Thomas Hinz. Watch this one, because Hinz won't be afraid to put his nose in. He's been pushing hard throughout the entire race. I tell you what, Kyle Stokes, I don't know how he pulled that car up. That was amazing, really, to be able to make that happen. There's plenty of times I've been around this track, and it doesn't matter how quickly you grab a lock, the car does slide off very easily. Once you get off the bitumen, you are gone. So to keep it on there and slide it just on the bitumen, fantastic job there from Kyle Stokes. All right, we look up on our screens at the moment and watch him go. It's Hinz up there in the 25.
I think Stokes was a bit annoyed that I gave him a 1 for his burnout, so he's probably trying to improve it with his drifting score.
Well, he's I'm starting to give him some scores for that. He's definitely getting some scores for that. Here you go, Hinz shows the nose there, but Rosella just keeps the racing line going. Luke Rosella's not going to do anything out of place at the moment. Hinz has to do all the work to get past. All Rosella has to do is maintain that driving line. Hinz now under pressure from Rob Bowden behind in the tank SRT car. Jaden Borg behind in the Cottesing Sports, and Troy Maguire in the Taipan Esports car, the next one down the line. Under brakes here, and no, look, I like Luke Rosella. He's just maintaining that line, not doing anything, not having to put the elbows up too much or do anything silly. Just keep that line going. Hinz has to have the race pace to be able to put the nose in at some point. Rosella either has to make a mistake, or Hinz has to get a bit of drive there. As you see him excite the tyres just a little bit. Even Bowden back up a little bit there.
See the racing there, lap 40, cars 77, 777 and 41, not leaving racing room at no further action. So Like I'll tell you, the invoice to send that one to is race control because they're not happy, or they're not issuing a penalty on that one.
Oh, well, you know, it's good and bad news because the Dyson really just staying behind there wasn't he trying to follow through, not really off the racing line at all, but just the wheels came together. So an unfortunate racing incident for those two. As you can see now, Adam Briggs in number 2 and Corey Shepard in the Mr. Antenna car right behind, and they got a little bit of airtime between them as well, which is quite surprising. I thought Shepard might have been able to take advantage of this restart, but we do know Briggsy has been very impressive in the DPR cars, and they have sort of been getting that a little bit faster each round. They didn't have a bad start of the season, but they definitely weren't in the top 3, and each round we've seen one of them on the podium after that in the Simrigs cars, and good to see him in P2 at the moment. Brett Loxton now comes through in P7, so he's up 1 position in the Xavier Racing. Holden Commodore, big Jinx Shifters down the side, making sure he gets through the gears. Hard on the brakes there. Dylan Rudd just in front. It's another little sandwich there, isn't it? Of Brett Loxton. He's got the NSR cars front and back. Dylan Rudd in front, Aaron Dodd behind him. The beautiful chrome Jinx Shifters logo on the side of that one as well. If you haven't checked those out, of course, you can get all your products there. Custom-made shifters, whether you want roll bar adjusters, all that sort of stuff. Then check out Jinx Shifters on Facebook, and great supporters here of the AOSC Season 10. And they've also got beautiful merchandise, which we've been lucky enough to be wearing throughout our pre-race show as well. He's got hats, and a little while ago he had some limited edition white shirts there from Jinx Shifters as well, so go check them out and get all that sort of merchandise. And you know it's good stuff when you got people like Shane Van Gisbergen all over his Facebook grabbing his shifter to make sure he can stay lively and practiced when it comes to supercar racing. Borgill doesn't look like he's having too many dramas, keeping Tom Freer at bay at the moment, and he's definitely one with the experience there to keep the elbows. There's a bit of a lock-up just in front of him, and that looks like Andrew Dyson there, just locking the wheel up, which is a puff of smoke. And he's got Kyle Stokes in front of him, who is the man of the moment who can drive this car. He's probably been the most sideways out on track. They've only got about 15 degrees of lock on the steering on these cars. I don't want them to get too much lock, otherwise can come unstuck. Too much understeer there if they lock it up. Too much steering. All right, Hins is up on screen at the moment, and every time that Nick takes us to Hins, we see something, a little bit of a battle, a nose get thrown in there. Anything could happen. Hins, wow, look how much curb he's using, throwing the car over it. Right there. Look at him go through the dog leg. I mean, yeah, that almost looked like he made the car cock a leg, didn't it? It's up on 3 wheels, just one wheel off the ground.
He said anything could happen, and through the dog leg he turned it into a dog and lifted the stakes, and it's really tight deep into turn 2 there. But he didn't lock the brake like he did in his qualifying lap, so that's a saviour.
You can see though the arrow when they come out of the exit of that corner though there, where he just doesn't get the drive and they pull away. Luckily though, he's got the car pace here just to close that back up now as they head over the Yokohama Bridge. His right-hander as they go through. Let's see what he can do. It's a little bit of excitement. They come over the bridge, they go around the Foster's dip, and then they've got to get back over. And can he hold on to it here? Just keeps it nice and sedate, I reckon, through there, compared to what we have seen him driving so far. How wide is he going to push it? Not too wide. Doesn't go out in the dirt. Oh, there's someone in the background there sliding the car all over the place. I'm trying to see who that is. That looks like the Cotter Sim Sports car there in the background. Just having a little bit of a slide there, Jaden Borg.
Just got a comment up on the YouTubes that Henry James Racing, Hinsy's team has said that Hinsy's found some stamps, so he's going to be sending it. He just needs to find a post office box around this Oran Park.
Oh. Are there any left? They've pulled them all up.
He's running out of room down there at turn 2. I have to take a breath every time I look at him.
Fire up the iPad in the car and send it on Outlook, mate. It's much easier.
We don't do that emailing and driving, but you know.
Yeah, you know, well, you know. Here we go. Varga. Where has he been this race? He's been battling it out there in the middle of the pack. Stephen Varga, the United Sim Sports, 868, the number. He's up a couple of positions into P15 at the moment. The Too Easy Finance on the side, and he's got Michael Taliantich, who got into a little race incident earlier, unfortunately. Locked wheels with Dyson and ended up being pushed back in the pack. He was having a great battle with Stokes earlier in this race, and now he is back into P16. He's got past Luke Rosella, and Varga's the next one on his list. He needs to. He's going to be driving with a little bit of frustration at the moment, I would say, for Taliancic. It probably hasn't been the best night for him. He's had a couple there just outside the top 10, but he's had some impressive runs as well as he goes off in the background, and we are cutting the grass, and that looks like a lot of damage on that car from our camera angle at the moment. It is still going. I'll be surprised if a bonnet's on it. Taliancic off onto the dirt, misses the braking zone. Check out the replay up here. We watch him come down the main straight. Check this one out. Michael Taliancic in the 777 car, inside line there, comes up, doesn't get it done, just grabs the wheel, doesn't it? Once he gets it off the curb, and all sorts of damage all over that car.
Fence hard at turn 2.
In the fence. I mean, if you were simulating that, he is now got a little bit of whiplash, and we're getting him checked out by the medics. That is what we're doing there, and it's Stokes still holding on there. Look at Borgie though. He's waited till the end of the race to really start to wind up the 017 car. Fresh tyres after that pit stop, and he was one of the. Him and Tom Freer took a late pit stop too, one of the last cars to get into the pits. And he is right up on the back of Andrew Dyson. And
Actually jumped Freya in the pits.
Sorry?
He actually jumped to Freya in the pits.
Yeah, that's right. And look at him, the crisscross there, and Dyson's going to have to put the elbows up and try and block Borgie out. But two right-handers. Borgie's got the nose in. Oh, sideways Dyson now. He's into a lot of racing tonight, isn't he, Dyson, unfortunately? I don't think it's... none of it's deliberate, it's just how it sort of happened. And Borgie in the 017 looks like he is going to get the racecraft car past him. The Premier Racing Team car manages to make that move. Dyson going to hold on with him there. This is for P10. Borgie's trying to get back into the top 10. Needs to maintain his championship at the moment because he is... he's doing all right in the championship, but he definitely could do to go a little bit better. He's 4th at the moment, and he's trying to hold on to Andrew Dyson. So this is interesting. Championship implications going on here. Dyson now behind him. He currently has a 74-point lead over him in the championship. So he'll be, if you're thinking championship-wise long-term, you just need to finish in front of Dyson to get yourself into P3. But Briggsy's doing everything up the top there, and Briggsy's dropped back. What's happened to Briggsy? He was in 2nd, and now I'm showing Briggsy coming in 5th. Here we go. Is this Briggs? This is a replay up on screen. What happened to Adam Briggs? He comes down to 2. Is this where, big lock up and slides it out? That's nice, though. Look, he's relinquished a couple of positions, but that is probably a good outcome for him because anything could happen there. We just saw what happened to Taliancic before. Anything could have happened. So nice recovery there from Adam Briggs. I spoke about him too much. I gave him the commentator's curse.
You did. I was expecting him to come 3rd if he was going to pass off positions. But 5th is a nice change of pace. It definitely keeps up the synergy, the Simrigs DPR train of 3rds and 5ths this season in AOSC. But no, you're right there. Brian Borg has waited till the right time to get past Andrew Dyson, and Andrew Dyson's not happy about it. I don't blame him. But he's made the right call at the right time, and he's using his experience as he locks up through turn 2 there. He won't be doing his left front any favours in that one.
Well, the flat spot is on the fronts there for Borgie. He is hard on the brakes, and a little bit of a nudge there, I reckon, from Dyson, just saying, come on, Borgie, what are you doing, mate? I brake fine. If you're going to wear your tyres out, just let me pass, because I'm just having a look at the championship standings as well. So Adam Briggs, who has just dropped back to 5th, he's got a bit of work to do. He's 30 points behind Brian Borg, and that puts him 104 points behind Andrew Dyson, his teammate. So be a good outcome here, I'd say, from Briggs, but Borgie's got a bit of work to do to see if he can stay in front of Dyson, who is pushing hard. And I'm sure team orders are get past Borgie. Let's get us in 3 and 4 in the championship after this round, and then we'll look at P2 and P1. James Scott's still leading this race at the moment, and he has done since the start. The only time he hasn't led this race is pretty much when he went into pit stop. He had to wait a few laps till everyone else had done their pits, and he's definitely dominated once again. Jordan Ross now made his way up into P3, all thanks to Adam Briggs having a lock up into turn 2. and it doesn't look like his teammate Damien Johnson is going to let him get away with it either. And Briggs is already back on the back of this pack. So this is 3, 4, and 5 on your screen at the moment, led by Jordan Ross. I don't really want to give him the commentator's curse because he has had some unfortunate nights. He's got in the top 5. He's, well, you know, sort of 5 to 10 in the finals in a lot of places, including Monza, where he came together twice there with some other cars. So he's had some unfortunate races there. So fingers crossed Jordan Ross can bring this one home and get on the podium. We know the Synergy Sim Racing guys working hard. Damien Johnson holding out as he slides the car out in front of Adam Briggs. Briggsy was up in second, outbraked himself in turn number 2. He'll be kicking himself for that one, and he is trying to get as many positions back as possible at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to see Jordan Ross get a decent result after everything he's been through this season. He's had a few up and down ones, but you wouldn't want anything more to see than Damien Johnson on his 50th race in AOSC getting a decent result and getting up there on the podium. But it's Adam Briggs who'll want to be shuffling that entire deck of cards in front of him because he'll want to be getting back into 3rd position, which he thinks is rightfully his. Jordan Ross and Damien Johnson both having disagreements with that one.
Another good night for Synergy Sim Racing, currently sitting 3rd and 4th. So far in this race, the Simrigs guys from DPR in 5th with Adam Briggs leading that charge. So normally we see him in 3 and 5. We don't know who it's going to be. It changes each week. And it's not always every week between those guys. Sometimes, you know, they go 2 weeks in 3rd and then they swap to 5th. But Briggsy at the moment sitting in that 5th position. Can we see Andrew Dyson get past Brian Borg? He's down in 11 at the moment. Borg, he got past him to go into the 10th position. So we'll see what happens here. But this is where he locked it up earlier and lost those positions. He was in 2. He puts a nose in there, shows it a little bit, but not going to get him under brakes there as Damien Johnson. Leaves a little bit of room there, but not enough. Just closes that door down. Make sure he gets the drive out as they come down to Shell Corner and get around Jordan Ross, his teammate in front. He just needs to watch exactly what he's doing. Bring the Synergy Sim Racing guys home in 3 and 4. I'll doubt they're going to catch up at this point to James Scott and Corey Shepherd unless they too do themselves a mischief, outbreak themselves somewhere at the moment, but they've got a nice little lead there. Scott out in front by 3.8 seconds, and it's 4.5 seconds back to Ross from Shepherd. So,
given the commentators' curses we've given out this season, anything can happen. There's still a few more laps in this one to go, and it's not over yet.
3 laps. What's that? 3 1/3 minutes. That's all we've got.
Bailey Freed and P20 if the timing screen. It's P22 if the timing screen stops moving around on me as he's battling with Jamie Stovald and Troy Maguire.
Yeah, he's had an unfortunate night, hasn't he? It really hasn't been his track, Oran Park. A couple of big braking moments for him. Bit of a move coming on here, though. Brett Loxton under fire from Dylan Rudd. Rudd, will he get it done? 2 right-handers. He comes on the inside. Rudd, he's still in front at the moment. Loxton on the outside, a little bit sideways. Here we go over the bridge. What can happen here at Yokohama Bridge? Loxton may have to go back in behind. He doesn't want to make contact there, and it looks like he's going to have to relinquish that position. So one of the NSR cars will move up into P6.
He's back sandwich, which he won't like being the meat in that sandwich, but he'll have to find a way to get his supercar either forward or backwards out of it.
He's got a little bit of work to do there. Brett Loxton, Aaron Dodd is looking ominous in the background. We've only got a couple of laps left to go, so it's time to throw everything at it, including the kitchen sink. Can he make this happen? Can they get both those cars up? Well, Rudd's in 6th. Can Dodd make it 7, a 6-7? How good would the photo finish be over the line for the 2 NSR cars? It'll be a shame to put Loxton between them, but we don't want Loxton to lose another position as Brian Borg in 10 and in 11 is a hard-charging Andrew Dyson. Borg, he did get the move done in him a few laps ago. The 017 car, and it is elbows up. Don't look in the side mirrors because all you're going to see is the DPR signage.
Well, it would be a great photo finish if we stick with the NSR esports guys. They have both cars in the top 10 in qualifying, so to have both cars running inside the top 10 in the race, it's a fantastic effort from both the guys at NSR esports.
Be fantastic, of course. James Scott at this point, he's out in front. We've only got a lap and a half left to go, and well out in front. Corey Shepherd still got the bridesmaid's dress on from last week. And looks like he is running for second, but here it comes. Jordan Ross is in third, Damien Johnson in fourth, the two Synergy Sim Racing guys, with great photo finish for them. Adam Briggs dropped back to fifth after unfortunately locking it up on turn number 2. Here we go, final lap. James Scott in the lead, Corey Shepherd just behind, but Scott just needs to play this nice and safe. He's got himself 4.5 second lead at the moment. So 4.5 seconds means he does not have to do anything silly. His last lap was a 105.01 though, and we probably only saw 3 cars beat that in the qualifying session. So, you know, when that's your easy lap around, to just crack into the 105s, just miss out on the 104, that's a pretty comfortable lead there at the moment with that. Well, it's almost pushing out to a 5-second gap. At this point, I think Corey Shepherd, he has another 9-second gap back to Ross. He doesn't want to do anything silly either. He needs to take home the silverware. But the gold looks like it's going to go back to James Scott for round number 6 here at Oran Park, the historic Oran Park. And your winner here for race 181 in the AOSC history at Oran Park will be James Scott and the Logitech D'Autos Esports Commodore once again. Corey Shepherd, the Mr. Antenna Premier Racing Team car in P2. Then it's Jordan Ross gets 3. Damien Johnson in 4. Adam Briggs in 5. Dylan Rudd 6. Brett Loxton 7. He holds on to that one. Aaron Dodd in 8. Kyle Stokes in 9. Then we go back to Brian Borg in 10. Andrew Dyson 11. Tom Freer 12. Stephen Varga 13. Thomas Hinz in 14. 15 will be Luke Rosella. Kenneth Latter in 16 with Reese Keane just behind the teammate in 17. Rob Bowden in 18. Jaden Borg in 19 in the Coda Sim Sports entry. Then Troy Maguire 20. Jamie Stovold 21. And Bailey Frid slides the car home in 22nd. 23rd was Greg Sharp, Luke Page in 24, Greg Salon in 25, Daniel Heddersheed in 26, Jacob Knight 27, Christian Smart was your man in 28, Sebastian Flock 29, Rob Harris 13. Well, he's up 4 spots, but the new livery on the side is not going to overcome that unlucky number 13 back in 30th. And you can see there, race results, all thanks to Jinx Shifters, the AOSC Super Series. Here tonight, your perfect Friday night, watching it at home on the AOSC TV YouTube. James Scott is your winner, the number 1. Can he go back-to-back? He's 5 wins out of 6 rounds at the moment. Corey Shepherd in number 2 in the Mr. Antenna car. Jordan Ross 3, Damien Johnson 4, Adam Briggs 5, Dylan Rudd 6, Brett Loxton 7, Aaron Dodd 8, Kyle Stokes 9, Brian Borg 10, Andrew Dyson 11, Tom Freer 12, Stephen Varga 13, Thomas Hinz 14, Luke Rosella 15, Kenneth Latter in 16, 17 was Reese Keane, Rob Bowden in 18. Then it goes to 19, Jaden Borg, and 20th was Troy Maguire. 21st was Jamie Stovold, Bailey Frid in 22, Greg Sharp in 23, Luke Page 24, Greg Salon in 25, Daniel Heddersheed in 26, Jacob Knight in 27, Christian Smart 28, Sebastian Flock 29, Rob Harris the 13 in 30, David Kimmond in 31, Craig Anspich in 32, Tony Gaffer in 33, Michael Barron in 34, Michael Taliancic had an unfortunate night and ended up in 35, Daniel Misdale in 36, Hayden Harrison in the 96, another one unfortunately didn't finish the race there in 37th, and our Jinx Shifters pace car was Scott Chambers here tonight, getting around, and we had him out twice. We double or nothing, and we took the win. And who was doing the burnout? I'm impressed. I like it. I want to see more of it.
That was a James Scott burnout, and it's definitely more than a 1 on that one because it's that was some circle work. So I'm going to give it a 7.
I'm going to give it a 7. We'll get the timesheets. We'll get the scoreboards out in our pre-race show. I reckon we're going to bring that one up for a bit of a look-see at. But we will start to get our winners into our broadcast very shortly. We'll grab them in the commentators chat because we're going to have a little bit of a chat with him. Looks like we're going to drag in the number 1. He's got the 1 on the car. He's done the best burnout of the night, and he's got himself another win. It's 5 out of 6 now. James Scott, welcome back to the winner's circle.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, I was a bit surprised by that. Obviously, there was a little bit of a mishap, you could say, maybe in the top 10 shootout. But I think the admin did a pretty good job. They learnt from a similar situation a few seasons back. So, yeah, I think they probably made the best of the situation possible.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I mean, Oran Park, though, what challenges does it throw at you?
It's a really tough track. There's so many... Turn 1, I sort of struggled with most of the week. It's really tricky under brakes. But in saying that, the setup I had tonight was amazing. I was able to get it dialed in pretty good and just pretty much on rails. But yeah, and then in the last, just near the end of the lap there, that little chicane thing, it's easy to get an off track in the one shot quali, so had to take it a little bit easy through there.
Yeah, we noticed the times in practice. You were actually a couple of tenths off those times come that. So is it just a bit of a, when you go to the lone qualifying setup there, is it just about knocking it back to about 98% to get a good lap in?
Well, yeah, it is. And around here, it's really hard to get the tyres turned on for the first lap. However, in saying that, I don't know if you guys saw on the broadcast, because that's ultimately what caused a bit of a mishap, but I ended up going faster than what I did in practice, which was a little bit surprising. The lap felt really good. I ended up doing an 8.4, I think it was, which was surprising to me as well.
No, it's fast because we've been around this track with our key guy here in commentary who does our laps for Pure Driving School, and he missed every apex and did a 107. What's a 107 like? Is there something at Pure Driving School you could do to show him how to hit those apexes?
I definitely think there's a few things we could work on. I did see that lap, but
Why are you laughing? Don't laugh at Norrie.
Nah, as long as he's having fun, that's the main thing.
And you're part of Pure Driving School. You want to say anything about that? We've had a few people take that up. It's been pretty good, hasn't it, in the background?
Yeah, the Pure Driving School thing has been quite popular. It's really great to work with some of the other guys in the series to try and get them up towards the pointy end and ultimately enjoying their racing a bit more. So yeah, hopefully we can keep continuing that. And yeah, I think it's a really good thing for the series.
Well, we move on to the Sonoma Cup, mate. It's going to be another interesting one next Friday night, 150 kilometres. Any challenges that you can foresee happening at that track?
I know I said this last round, but Sonoma has also not been one of my hottest tracks on the service. So it'll be interesting to see what we can do there. I'm not quite sure exactly what layout the Cup one is, but I have to work that out and do a few laps and see what we can do.
I think you just pre-record that every time we interview you. No, the next one's going to be hard. It's not my best, but mate, another dominant night, and great to see that you can bring the car home. And do you need to thank anyone?
Yeah, obviously all the guys at Altus Esports are really starting to get a good setup going now, and it's really paying dividends, I think. And obviously all our great sponsors, Logitech G, Astro Gaming, Cube Controls, Own 3D, Race Tech Seats, and you guys for putting on the great broadcast and the AOSC admin.
Well, thanks, James, for another entertaining night. And yeah, we expect that Corey Shepherd is not going to want to stay in that bridesmaid's dress for too much longer. So watch your side mirrors. He's coming for you.
Yeah, we'll do. Just congratulations to those guys as well, especially Jordan. I know he's had a little bit of bad luck lately with a few incidents that haven't really been his fault, but it's good to see him on the podium tonight.
No, it is fantastic. Thanks, James, for your time, and we will see you at Sonoma next week. It's going to be another big round number 7. But that was our winner tonight, James Scott. If you've just joined us, the Logitech G Autos Esports Commodore, as you can see on screen, he is the man, dominated the race from start to finish, despite a little bit of a hiccup there with what happened at the start of the race. But it got underway, and we made it all happen. And the man who is, well, Corey, you just joined us in the commentary box. Bridesmaid's dress again this week, mate. Number 2 behind James Scott. No surprise there. It seems to be a regular thing at the moment.
Yeah, had a lot of second places, but it was going to be real tricky at the end had Adam not made his mistake and gone off at turn 1 because it's so hard to pass around here.
Yeah, it is a hard track to pass around, especially off the racing line. We know it gets a little bit bumpy there. What were some of your challenges coming into Oran Park? Is there any sort of particular section on the track that was hard to get the car set up for?
Not really, more just keeping it smooth and not going sideways everywhere because there's a lot of bumps and it's very easy to do that. So just had to keep it calm and get a nice flow going on and put down some decent laps.
Yeah, mate, and you did that. I mean, it's all about coming home, isn't it, at the end? Like you say, unfortunately for Adam Briggs, a big lock up there on turn number 2 gave you an opportunity. But the Mr. Antenna car, it's all working with the guys there, I suppose. Brian Borg and the Premier Racing team, you having a great time with them?
Yeah, definitely. It's awesome.
Well, mate, anyone you need to thank, the 718 on the podium again, get the silverware.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Mr. Antenna, all the guys at Premier Racing Team, and you guys put on the broadcast.
Mate, I'm sure we will be talking to you very shortly. Sonoma Cup next week. Have you done many laps there?
Not really. Sonoma's kind of a new track for me. I think I've only been there once, but it sounds good.
Mate, it's going to be a fantastic round number 7. Can't thank you for your time tonight, and look forward to seeing whether you can knock James off his number 1 perch next week.
Hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah, we will see, mate. That's your number 2 there, Corey Shepherd, the Mr. Antenna car, all thanks to a Premier Racing team. And number 2 on the podium again tonight. A great guy and doing very well in a lot of series around the sim racing world. Watch out for him, young guy with a lot of talent, and we'll see exactly what happens. And another guy that shows a fair bit of talent, and he's had himself a lucky night tonight. It's been an unfortunate start to the series for him. But on the podium gets the bronze, Jordan Ross, Synergy Sim Racing. Welcome, and it's great to be talking with you.
Yeah, hey guys, it's been a fair while since I've been up here, and had it all tonight. Had the computer having a let go, the kids banging at the door, but we've managed to get it home in third.
Well, I think it's those challenging nights that make it all worthwhile. You had your teammate Damien Johnson behind you, and he's had a fantastic night as well. So I bet it was pretty surreal there to have him in the side mirrors as you cross the finish line. We lost you? Maybe we've gone. He's here. The push to talk, maybe.
We're back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
Your computer is giving up on you, isn't it?
It's having a full meltdown, but there's a new one coming next in about 2 weeks, so we're good. It was awesome to have Damo behind me crossing the line, and we've had a bad start to the season, but all the guys are sort of chin up, and we're trying to find what it is in this new time model that the other guys know and we don't. So we sort of found something through the week, and I don't know whether it worked or not, but we are up on the podium, so we'll see how it goes the rest of the season.
I think it's a fresh livery, mate. Fresh livery, fresh start. I mean, sometimes you've got to take away those unlucky races, don't you, and just pretend the season starts all over again.
We're good. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know where we're off to next, but hopefully this new livery is a bit of good luck, and we can get on the podium again there, or one of the boys in the team.
Sonoma Cup is next week. Have you done many laps around there?
I haven't done a lap in about a year and a half, but we'll do some laps this week, and we'll be fast. We'll make sure we're up the front. Hopefully the normal qualifying things back next week, and we can get in the front row and try and get in front of James and spice things up a bit.
Mate, you're one of the many who want to make that happen. So we hope we see it, because James there, we want to see him challenge for the rest of the season. We've still got 9 rounds left to go, and Sonoma Cup's where it could all happen at round number 7. Good luck. Great to see the Synergy Sim Racing guys up there. Great to have Damo behind you. Well done tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Well, there you go, Norrie. What a race it was. Good to see Jordan Ross, have another chat with him. Corey Shepherd in number P2 again. James Scott, what do we say? It's the same interview every week. It's going to be a tough one next week. It's not my best track.
Yeah, absolutely. Sonoma Cup does throw up a curveball because we don't sort of go there often in the V8, but there's often enough that there are runs on the board, and we'll see that in our pre-race show when we bring up those track stats. I'll try and hit all the apexes this week. I'm not making any promises because I'll probably sneak into one of the Commodore garages. But yeah, Sonoma Cup is an interesting one.
Yep, and it's a big track too. It's we've gone to a very short track. Now we're going to get a long track, lots of corners. It's going to be challenging for everyone. And so far, the guys that we have interviewed, James Scott, Corey Shepherd, and Jordan Ross, not too many laps around there. So I dare say everyone's going to have a big week on the Sims. Big shout out to obviously to all of our sponsors here at AOSC. Of course, we can't thank Jinx Shifters enough because they are fantastic sponsors. We could not do this without them. They are huge when it comes to AOSC. Big shout out to simrigs.com, Sydney Computers, Race Circuit Art Australia, AJ Insurance Services, Track Cams for Gourmets, and we need to put a shout out to Bowler Media, Sideways Photography, who will be bringing us our photo finish and, of course, our impact of the round. We'll get some photos up there. Great to see him partnering with us. Race 181, run and done on your Friday night here on YouTube, AOSC TV. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next week, round number 7 at the Sonoma Cup. Thank you very much.